Evening. I would like to reconvene this meeting of the Salem Kaiser School Board, June 12th, 2018. We will now be led in the flag salute with the presentation of colors by the North High School JROTC. Please stand.
Carry colors. Post.
Would you please join me in reciting the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Post. Right. Face. Port. Arms. Forward. March.
Thank you.
You know, I should try to tell him.
Next item on the agenda, board attendance. All members of the board are present. Agenda modifications, and I see none. So, what? Okay, agenda modifications. Next would be the spotlights on success.
Good evening. Our first spotlights will be presented by Larry Ramirez, our Director of High Schools.
I'd like to call up front here to the front, North Salem High School JROTC Lady Vikings and the Viking Pain Trainers and Cadet Taylor Gibson. If you can come to the front. We'll put you on this side over here. That's all right. Go ahead. I'll start reading here. 37 cadets from North Salem High School JROTC Lady Vikings and Viking Pain Team competed at the National High School Drill Team Championships and National Fitness Championships in Daytona Beach, Florida on May 4th through 6th. Both teams finished near the top 10 in their events. The Vikings PT is a cadet fitness team who 3 months ago won the JROTC National Championship, or State Championship, excuse me. In their first appearance at the National Championships, the team finished 4th overall. They finished 1st in the 3-kilometer team run, 2nd in the power ball throw, 5th in the broad jump, 7th in the pull-ups, flexed arm hang, and 13th in the physical team test. The day ended with the Ironman and Iron Woman contest, where each school pitted their top male and female competitor against the rest. Viking seniors Seth Safel and sophomore Jocelyn Corrales each finished 2nd in their categories. It was an amazing finish to a remarkable event. The Lady Vikings competed 3 months ago, where they won the 5th JROTC State Championships in unarmed drill. Based on the runner-up finish at the challenge level at the 2017 Nationals, the Lady Vikings moved to the Masters level for 2018. 20 teams competed in the National Championships, with the Lady Vikings finishing 7th in inspection, 9th in color guard, 10th in platoon exhibition drill, 13th in squad exhibition drill, 15th in regulation drill, and 7th place overall. The Vikings also competed in 2 separate color guard events. Both teams finished in the top 10. Well done, Vikings. If I can have Cadet Sergeant First Class Taylor Gibson step forward. Cadet Taylor Gibson began competing for North Salem JROTC precision shooting team as an 8th grader at Parrish Middle School. She set a kneeling national record in the air rifle as a 13-year-old. Taylor, a junior at North Salem High School, competed with over 200 other students at the Civil Marksmanship Program at Camp Perry, Ohio, March 22nd through the 24th. At the competition, Taylor became the first junior shooter in the history of the event to win national championships for 2 years in a row. She also set 2 additional national records. Taylor now holds the Army JROTC and all-junior shooter record for one day with a final score of 699.9, beating her previous record, as well as a day 2 final score of 1293.3, beating her previous best of 1291. Taylor established a record in last year's national championship by shooting a record 597 out of 600. And this year, she tied her record at 597 out of 600 on day 2. Taylor has proven herself to be one of the most foremost precision shooters in the country. Because of her amazing performance, Taylor was offered a full ride to West Point and the Air Force Academy on the spot. And will be blue chipped if she accepts, almost guaranteeing her nomination to the Service Academy. The finishing scores of the North Salem High School JROTC are proof that the hard work and dedication of every one of the Viking teams. Congratulations.
Our next spotlight will be presented by Karina Lee, the Executive Director of the Salem Kaiser Education Foundation. Welcome, Karina.
I would now like to invite over here with Chair Kylo and Superintendent Perry, Mr. Jim Trett, and Principal of Whitaker Middle School, Julia DeWitt. There he is. How you doing? Our volunteer of the month for June 2018 is Jim Trett, nominated by the staff at Whitaker Middle School. Jim is the embodiment of pride in community, spirit, and volunteerism. For him, these are not just words. They are a way of life. Once he decides to be a part of something, he gives his whole heart to it, quietly, with humor, with compassion, and in 100 supporting ways. Staff sees his involvement when he shows up to middle school on that first chaotic day in the fall and quietly helps kids figure out their schedules, where their lockers are, and where to eat lunch. If you need a chaperone, he's there. If you need survival skills or a good campfire and a life skills story at outdoor school, he's there. If kids need a mentor or show of support at a performance or a sporting event, he's there. Jim has been teaching CPR and first aid in our health classes for 14 years. He brings expertise that includes stories that the teachers would not be able to provide students. Did we talk about his humor? Funny. And makes students laugh, keeping them very engaged. Because of his instruction during the last couple of years, Whitaker had 2 students who received his lessons in CPR and saved someone's life. Students and staff at Salem Kaiser schools have benefited by his unselfish willingness to step in and support us. Jim expects nothing in return. He downplays his dedication and involvement. He gets embarrassed when you thank him because he doesn't see his volunteerism as being about him. Thank you, Jim, for all you do for Whitaker Middle School and for the Salem Kaiser community. You remind us that we really do live in a community we can be proud of. Congratulations on being recognized Volunteer of the Month.
Our next spotlight will be presented by Lillian Govis, our Director of Community Relations and Communications.
We are so pleased to welcome our Community Partner of the Month, the Chemeketa Multicultural Student Success Program. So I'd like to welcome to the front the program staff Manuel Guerra, the Executive Dean of Student Development and Learning Resources, Mike Evans, the Dean of Student Retention and College Life, and Linda Ringo Reyna, the Coordinator of Student Retention and College Life, Multicultural Student Services, and Cynthia Richardson, our Office of Equity. The Chemeketa Multicultural Student Success Program is committed to helping students secure funding to attend Chemeketa. Funding is not like a traditional scholarship program where there's a defined amount. The Multicultural Student Success Program is assuring students that they will fill in the funding gaps as long as the student continues as a participant in the program. They will help students apply for scholarships, then look at each student's financial aid package and award tuition assistance and grants to meet the needs to fully finance their education at Chemeketa. Chemeketa partnered with Salem Kaiser Public School Department of Student Equity, Access, and Advancement to provide opportunities for students who have overcome adversity, obstacles, and challenges, and continue to have the desire to further their education. Students must maintain a 2.0 GPA or have earned a GED. They must have a strong desire to obtain a college degree and write a one-page essay stating why they want to go to college and complete an application. Once students are accepted into the program, they will be assigned a mentor and attend a one-week summer bridge program to prepare them for this transition to college. This is an amazing opportunity for Salem Kaiser students. Thank you to the Chemeketa Community College for helping us meet our goals and for every student to graduate and successfully transition to college or the world of work.
All right, our next spotlight will be presented by Matt Biondi, our Director of Middle Schools.
Good evening, everyone. I am not sure how many people are here for this spotlight tonight, but if you are here for the Pinta Games, the 24 Challenge, or the Chemeketa Math, the regional math competition, would you please come forward at this time? Come on, come on. Excellent. Tonight we are recognizing mathematics competition winners from our elementary, middle, and high schools. The first competition is the 24 Challenge Math Competition. Students forming teams of 4th and 5th graders from across all of the Salem Kaiser elementary schools competed in the 28th annual Math 24 Challenge on May 12th at McKay High School. Teresa Grindy, a math teacher at McKay High School, was the event coordinator. Students play the Math 24 card game that emphasizes math skills and number fluency. The game features cards that show 4 numbers in each corner. The goal is to use all 4 of those numbers in any combination, addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division, to reach the number 24. Candelaria elementary students Tyler Ginger, a 4th grader, and Maya Larson, a 5th grader, performed at the highest level in the competition and are being recognized for excellence in mathematics.
Which ones are those two?
Not sure.
There we go.
Good job.
Next, we have the middle school Pinta Games. The 35th annual Pinta Games took place on May 4th at Straub Middle School. Over 60 schools competed at 7 different sites around Oregon. All sites have the same questions. There are individual and team contests. The contests consist of time events and team problem-solving events. Each team had 3 groups of competitors, a 7th grade team, an 8th grade team, and an Algebra Open team. Coached by Brenda Code, the Straub Middle School team scored first with the overall highest score, as well as first place for 7th grade and second place for 8th grade. Congratulations to the middle school teams. The last competition we are recognizing is for high schools. This year's high schools regional math competition, hosted by Chemeketa Community College, was held on April 12th. 14 local schools participated, including all 6 Salem Kaiser traditional high schools and students from Early College High School. The competition features 5 levels of math from Algebra 1 to Calculus. The teams were challenged with individual quizzes and team events. The South Salem High School math team took first place in the competition. We congratulate all of you for your outstanding efforts.
All right, our next spotlights will be presented by Mary Lou Boderman, our coordinator for music and drama, and she's going to highlight our music accomplishments. And look at that, state championship t-shirt. Yes. It is an awesome t-shirt, isn't it? Sheila's going to
I
help you.
appreciate the visual aid. Well, this year marked the 32nd year of the OSAA State Music Championships. During that time, Salem Kaiser students have been awarded more championships than all other 6A school districts combined. This is an accomplishment that demonstrates the outstanding teaching that is taking place throughout our district, not only at the high school level, but at the middle school level as well, and begins in our elementary schools, where all of our students are taught by trained music specialists beginning in kindergarten. Tonight, we want to honor and congratulate our fabulous music students, as well as our staff, and give some highlights from their very busy year. We'll start out, first of all, with some of our middle school accomplishments. At the Pleasant Hill Jazz Festival, placing first in the vocal division was Judson Middle School, directed by David Loney. They also placed first in instrumental as well, and that is directed by Nathan Irby, and I know that Mr. Irby is here. So if you would come on up, representing Judson. This is Mr. Irby's first year at Judson, so we're glad to have him. At the Mount Hood Northwest Orchestra Festival, first place went to Crossler Advanced Orchestra, and they are directed by Julie Runquist.
And shameless personal plug, my daughter's on that orchestra.
That's all good.
OSAA state championships for solo music are awarded to individual students. 26 students representing 5 of our high schools placed at the state championships for solo music. 7 students were named champions, 6 placed second, 5 placed third, 2 placed fourth, and 6 placed fifth. We do have a few of our champions that are here. I'll give you all of them, and the ones that are here, please come forward. Anthony Bolden placed first in the low saxophone category. He was joined, Anthony is from West Salem. In mallets, which is mallet percussion, was Logan Krause, also from West. On orchestral snare, Dylan Ionson Yount. Oh, Logan was here, awesome. Dylan placed first in orchestral snare. In tenor voice, Briargate Curry from South Salem. I know Briargate is here. On timpani was Ty Bruin from West Salem. And our viola champion, Damon Zavala from Sprague High School. Let's congratulate. The Oregon Music Education Association has an ensemble state competition. We had 3 champion ensembles. It was the West Salem Saxophone Ensemble, Sprague Strings Quartet, and the West Salem Percussion Trio. All were champions. Any representatives from those groups can come up. Damon, I think you would be from Sprague as well. The West Salem Treble Vocal Ensemble placed second. The McKay Cadenza Quintet placed third. McNary Brass Quintet placed third, and Sprague Woodwind placed third as well. Salem Kaiser did well again this year at the OSAA Large Group Music Championships. All 4 state titles went to Salem Kaiser schools, and out of the 19 total trophies that were awarded, 11 went to Salem Kaiser. So here are the results. 6A Choir, first placed, West Salem High School, directed by Kimberly McConnell. Kimberly? Second place, South Salem High School, directed by Will McLean. And fourth place went to Sprague High School, directed by David Brown. Dr. Brown cannot be here, but Damon, you sing in this as well as play viola. Come on down. Should say Damon will be going to Vanderbilt University as a music ed major. Perhaps we'll see him back one day here. The 6A Full Symphony Orchestra Championships, the first place for the 5th year in a row went to West Salem High School, co-directed by Todd Zimbelman and George Thompson. And second place went to South Salem High School, and they're co-directed by Ben Stokes and Damian Burdakin. That would be third place. 6A Orchestra Championships. Damian, don't go too far, because South Salem placed first in strings. So he along with some students. And second place in the strings division, West Salem High School, George Thompson. And placing third and their best finish ever in state competition, McKay High School, directed by Jim Charnham. And fourth place went to Sprague High School, directed by Hector Aguero. I don't believe Hector is here, so Damon, come on down.
All after graduation even.
And finally, 6A Band Championships. First place went to Sprague High School, directed by Rick Greenwood. And second place went to West Salem High School, directed by Todd Zimbelman. Is Logan? Logan's here. Needless to say, it was a very satisfying 4 days of state competition.
Yes, it was, yeah.
Wonderful music was made. In the area of marching band, West Salem High School Marching Band, directed by Todd Zimbelman and Assistant Director James Nowickas, had another undefeated season, taking first place at all 4 competitions in which they competed. They took first place at the Bands of America Northern California Regional in San Jose, California as well. They also were named grand champions at the Northwest Association for Performing Arts Regional Championships. Great year for West Salem Marching Band. And last but not least, it takes great educators to make these kind of results. And the Oregon Symphony Association annually awards a Music Educator of the Year award this year to an elementary music specialist from Chavez Elementary, Carly Schindler. And I hope that it is with great delight and pride that we all applaud our excellent music teachers and our very, very talented music students for all their accomplishments. Congratulations to them all.
So I have one quick final spotlight. Don't go anywhere, Mary Lou. So Mary Lou, I don't know if we knew this, but was awarded by the National Federation of State High School Associations Outstanding Music Educator of the Year. So I'll tell one funny story. Once an educator, always an educator. I sit next to her at Rotary often when when her music teachers and their students come and perform. And I think, I'm just there to listen and enjoy the music. Not Mary Lou. She has her cell phone and her timer underneath her table. And I'm thinking they sound amazing. And she looks at me. They've got a little work to do to get under time. Once an educator, always an educator. Thank you, Mary Lou, for your leadership.
Okay, if you don't want to stay for the rest of the meeting, now would be the time to escape.
I think Damon,
No.
Damon wants to stay. Damon wants to stay.
No.
He's out.
How many do you need? 4.
Okay. I'd kind of like to go. Yeah. Early career educators. Early career educators. Hello, early.
So, yeah, do we have Stephanie Berry, Brittany Inman, or Crosby Bromley were the names, but I don't know if those
They
were.
should be here. There they, I see them coming.
Okay, there they are.
There we go.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Board Chair Kylo, Vice Chair Lee, Superintendent Perry, and directors of the board. For the past 2 years, Salem Keizer Education has been the recipient of the National Education Association Early Career Leadership Fellows Program. The ECLF Collaborative is funded by the National Education Association, NEA, and is delivered by the Consortium for Educational Change, CEC. Our SKEA Early Career Leadership Fellows worked with 50 other Early Career Leadership Fellows from across the country to develop their skills as leaders, to learn about the three frames of unionism and the power of collaboration when our association, our district, and our community education stakeholders work together. To identify, and this is the most important that we found, the most valuable as well, is each one of them reached out to 5 other early career educators within our district and had conversations. And they were each challenged to listen to a common theme and then create and develop a leadership action plan from that. Within those action plans, they were asked to then present at the national level. And tonight, I am just so proud to introduce to you Stephanie Berry from McKay High School, Kathleen Karaki from Yoshikai Elementary, and Amanda Asp from Parrish Middle School, our Early Career Leadership Fellows.
Hello. Today we will be talking about the mentor program and the impact it has had on us as educators, the impact it has had on our peers, students, and the district. We are going to be discussing this topic in hopes to persuade you that keeping this program and continuing to fund this program would be in the best interest of the district. We know not everyone sitting in this room has the vast knowledge of what the mentor program is, so we want to give a quick rundown of what the job descriptions say. According to Oregon Department of Education guidelines, a mentor gives support. Support for beginning teachers, principals, and superintendents in their first 2 years in their positions. This includes providing 75 to 90 hours a school year of encouragement, advocating, and offering assistance to transform practice through a process of reflection and inquiry. New teachers will be able to conduct observations of experienced, accomplished teachers and administrators who work in their same grade level, content area, and even demographics. Similar to a practicum or student teaching, mentors conduct at least 5 classroom or professional setting observations of the mentee to give feedback and transform their teaching in real time. Of course, that is just the job descriptions. Mentors give so much more than what is listed on the actual description.
Okay, we want to share a tiny fraction of the impact our mentors have had on the educators they have worked with. Looking through surveys, feedback, and the end-of-the-year wrap-ups that not only the Salem Keizer Mentor Program has produced, but the new Teacher Center has done as well, we have found many common aspects of the program that has been beneficial to multiple teachers. A big theme when speaking with teachers is how open, honest, and available their mentor is. One teacher states, "My mentor is always available via email or text, even outside of school hours. He is willing to meet me as soon as he can when I need it and willing to jump into any help I may need. He has helped me create ELD units that I was unsure of how to do and model." Another wrote, "Having a mentor has been a saving grace for me in my first year of teaching and my first year in the state of Oregon. She has helped me come a long way in becoming familiar with everything A to Z of teaching. From deconstructing standards to modeling math lessons, helping me create a classroom management system, I could go on forever. It has been truly a blessing to have a mentor. Watching others in the environment that you are in every day inspires you, helps you understand situations from a different perspective, and can push you, which in turn helps your students push themselves, your building improve, and our community and expand in positive ways. Content, classroom management, and teaching strategies that you will work in grad school are often thrown to the wind when you step into your own classroom. Educators were also asked about how their mentor has changed their classroom performance. with specific observations and reflection times. The behavior in my room has improved, tardies decreased, transition time decreased, organization of teaching became better. My mentor has helped me be more confident, and I feel more supported, thus helping my performance in the classroom, stated one teacher. Observations reveal what I'm doing well and what I can improve on. Although I was sometimes practicing mitts, my mentor's observations showed that I could improve. I would have not have noticed this too easily without my mentor's help, stated another. Mentors are not here for us all in just the academic content setting either. A common comment was how mentors are there for you no matter what the issue was, and to remind you about how life is always happening in, but also outside the classroom. One educator wrote, "My mentor has been a positive support, always pushing me to do my best, but also reminding me to balance my life and be healthy with my time." Another teacher writes, "I have been able to talk with her about everything at school, the hard things and the great things. I know that she'll look for a solution, and rather than judging me, so I'm not afraid to ask for help." Coming directly from the end of the year surveys, a theme that often appears is summed up quite well by one teacher. She wrote, "When I was finishing graduate school at the University of Oregon, I was seeking a district to begin my career at. I wanted to find a place that would become my professional learning community. In my search, I looked specifically for districts with mentorship programs. In graduate school, I knew in order to have a successful start in my career that I would need a mentor. This is not to say my higher education did not prepare me, but to say that teaching is more challenging than most people can fathom. A mentor was a necessity for my career as an educator. I refused to look at districts without mentorship programs, knowing that I would not continue to grow in education without support. I was fearful that I would not survive my first 3 years of teaching." One strong opinion that many of us feel is that the mentor program is easily one of the greatest assets the SK School District has going. Having an experienced professional that knows me and my personality and can offer advice and guidance has truly been invaluable. I've encouraged friends to apply to this district as new teachers because I feel that the mentoring program provides an extra level of training that isn't available in other districts. Another educator wrote in the end of the year survey that the mentor program is an absolute necessity that all new teachers need access to across the entire state. It is invaluable. The state, if it wishes to improve its education system, should invest heavily in mentors for new teachers. My mentor was great, but the biggest change I suggest is that I need and needed more time with her. But with 40+ mentees to check in with, I didn't get to see her in my classroom nearly often enough. Not her fault at all. She went above and beyond countless times and should be commended."
Research also backs the countless stories that educators have about the effectiveness of their mentors. According to the New Teacher Center, research has proven that quality matters when it comes to teacher induction programs. It has been proven that programs that are less comprehensive or summer-only professional development do not result in significant improvement of teacher effectiveness or student learning. Too often, our newest teachers are assigned to work in the hardest to staff schools, in areas where students are most in need of an experienced teacher. The result has been an alarmingly high number of new teachers leaving the profession, particularly in highest areas of need, long before the 5th anniversary milestone. The Oregon Department of Education agrees that one study they often reference has done by NPR and directly ties to budget nationally, teacher turnover can cost $2.2 billion a year, but has been rapidly increasing to $8 billion a year. And in Oregon alone, it costs up to $40 million a year to replace a teacher that has left the profession. High-quality mentoring and induction programs that provide needed support can reduce the likelihood that teachers leave the profession and also have a positive effect for the entire school. ODE also states that 83% of the 2012-2013 mentoring beginning teachers were still teaching 2 years later, which is 3% more than the percentage of all the beginning teachers in the state. This trend has grown even more in the recent years. According to research done by the Center of Education, Innovation, Evaluation, and Research through the Willamette Education Service District, that 1 year retention rate for mentored teachers was a 5% higher across the state. As you move to 3 years later, retention is still over 5% and increases to 9% in the 4th and 5th years of teaching. Looking at our district directly, Salem Keizer has mentored 1,200 teachers since 2008 with a retention rate of 95%. Another large impact of having a mentor is increasing student access. As you can see through this graph, teachers truly have felt the mentors helping them push their students to success. Encouraging them, changing their practices, and in turn bettering our system as a whole. You can see that over the years, more than 60% of the teachers involved in the mentor programs feel their students were directly influenced due to the support they had as educators. We all know that data is very important when revamping your curriculum, teaching style, and analyzing effectiveness as a teacher, which is one of the reasons why we have moved towards data teams and direct analyzing in our PLCs. These ideas, the processes, and especially the interpreting can be very challenging to a new teacher. In this slide, you can see how educators feel about their time working directly with their mentor in just that. Bringing someone in who does not have direct stake in the outcomes, someone who has the time to help explain details, and someone who has not scrutinized those first results, but will come up with solutions, can be life-changing for a new teacher. We have many more stories, many graphs to help back these stories, and so much data to support the graphs, but we want to leave you with just a request. A request to reflect. Reflect on what you've heard tonight. Reflect on the district vision. All students graduate and are prepared for a successful life. With over 42,000 students, we have a lot of work ahead of us to achieve this vision. Supporting the teachers is one of the best ways to launch that work. Direct support for our teachers? Well, we know how to achieve that. Thank you.
Thank you. Got it. Okay. At this time, we will now open the hearing on the supplemental budget for 2017-18. Superintendent Perry.
Right, this is a technical adjustment action for our 17-18 budget, so this is for our current year. And I'm going to let Mike Wolf walk you through the changes for this current year. And the only changes are in the grant funds, so he'll walk you through this process so you know what the action is.
Great. Good evening, Chair Kylo, Superintendent Perry, and members of the board. So the board plate gives you a really good rundown of kind of where we are. And because the grant funds are accepted throughout the year at each board meeting, over the course of the year, sometimes the grant funds will exceed what the adopted budget amount would be. And so it's necessary to create a supplemental budget, which is what we're doing tonight. And you can see the specific dollar amounts associated with each of the categories. The other piece that this resolution does is it creates the facilities acquisition and construction appropriation category, which we didn't have in the adopted budget for the grants. And so we've received regional solutions money, $900,000 for the completion of Phase 5 at CTEC. We've also received Brownsfield grants for environmental work there, and also a seismic grant. So this adjusts all of that and creates a supplemental 17-18 budget for adoption tonight.
Thank you. Any questions for Mike? Okay, Jesse.
So this grant money, this is new grant money that we're getting?
This was grant money that was received and approved throughout the year by the board. We just needed the right appropriation category in the budget.
Oh,
Yeah, so this is a technical cleanup.
okay.
Anyone else? Okay. No one signed up. Oh, Chuck, I'm sorry.
Are we going to be voting on this?
Yes.
I'm going to declare a potential conflict of interest because I was actively involved in acquiring the Regional Solutions money and some of the other students.
When we get there, great, thank you. No one signed up to give any public testimony, so with that, we will close the hearing. Thank you. Okay, the next one, we will now open the budget hearing, the 2018-19 budget hearing. Superintendent Perry will give a summary.
All right, I will just give you a quick summary. First of all, remember that between the proposed budget in April, you were presented with revisions to the proposed budget on May 21st, both some general fund and revisions for the bond passing. So one of the issues I think that has important to point out is that in that memo from May 21st, there was an allocation of $2 million that was allocated to 1250 in our special education programs, least restrictive programs. You've heard a little bit of conversation around adult assistance. And back on May 21st, actually previous to that, I began to share with you this escalating issue around adult assistance in our LRC classrooms, our learning resource centers. So you've done two things within the budget, in the proposed budget that's been approved. One is we've transferred 75 FTE into permanent FTE for adult assistance. That's year 3 of that transfer from limited term, which is temporary, to permanent. So back in 2016-17, there were 330. Last year, 400, or this school year, and then in 18-19 proposed budget, 473.39 FTE permanent. And remember, that was a move to stabilize classrooms and stabilize staffing, so we didn't have temporary limited term staffing. So in addition to that, permanent FTE, we have what we call pool FTE, and that is the limited term temporary employee FTE. There was money in both 1250 and 1220, which are least restrictive and more restrictive programs. And there is pool money in both of those. And on the 21st, I added another $2 million to that because of that escalating need. We still do worry that that's enough because the need has really mushroomed for us. But also what is happening is when we have limited term employees, we do need to notify them that their jobs are ending so that then we can rehire them if they go into permanent positions. So we're having a couple things going on at once. Some budgetary issues with the really big blossoming of adult assistants that are being requested, and trying to right-size that for the start of school year to fit within our budget constraints, and also a normal and customary thing that we do with our limited term employees. So there are no changes to the budget that I'm recommending tonight from when the budget committee approved it, but I wanted to be sure, because we had not talked much about that in our last couple meetings because there were other topics. I wanted to be sure that you knew that. So with that, I'm going to let Mike walk you through what the resolutions will be tonight, just so that you know each resolution and what you're voting on.
Okay, great, thank you. So the board plate just reiterates a lot of what Superintendent Perry talked about. What I'd like to do is focus your attention on the resolution itself. And the resolution takes care of 4 discrete and necessary actions by the board. The first is you adopt the budget. So that's the first section of the resolution tonight. The second is where you appropriate the funds, and that's where you'll see all of the funds that are in the budget with the actual numbers of dollar amounts for the appropriation. The third action, which you're taking as one resolution, right? But the third discrete step is imposes the property tax rate and sets the amount necessary to service the general obligation debt. You'll notice that as the third sub-resolution. And the fourth one categorizes the taxes in accordance with Article 11 of the Oregon Constitution, which is really the difference between the permanent tax rate subject to the education limitation and the general obligation bond amount, which is excluded from that limitation. So you have one large resolution that has 4 discrete elements in it.
Any questions for Mike? Any questions for Mike? Okay. At this point, then, we will go to public testimony. We have 3 individuals who signed up. You'll be limited to 3 minutes. We do ask that you give your name and your address. Podium. I will try not to mispronounce your name too badly. The first one is Jen Stacy. I will warn you that you have lights. When the yellow light goes on, you have one, it's right here. And when the yellow light goes off, you have 1 minute. When the red light goes off, you're done.
Okay.
Got it? You're done. Okay.
Thanks for the warning.
You got it.
You tell me when it starts.
It'll start when you give me your name and address.
All right, 3 minutes. My name's Jennifer Stacy. I live at 1878 Wiltsey Road, Southeast Salem. I've been a district employee for approximately 4 years, the last 3 years at McKay High School, and I am representing the McKay DLC today. Last Friday, our limited term instructional assistants were notified that their hours would be cut in half for the next school year. Several positions have additionally been eliminated from our particular DLC classroom. The majority of DLC students suffer from extreme mental and physical impairments. Our DLC classroom is now being put in the position of being severely understaffed for the number of students in our room. In today's staff-wide email from Superintendent Perry, she acknowledges the reduction in our school's allocations for adult assistance, but follows that there's been an escalation of needs. With less staff and more need, the injuries, property damage, property loss, calls to security, and cases of students failing classes will all rise. IAs are the building blocks to the special education programs in our district. We are important. We are not interchangeable. We build relationships with our students and often care about them when no one else does. We take these kids to the bathroom, clean them, change their diapers, catheterize them, feed them, G-tube them, administer medication, dodge punches, get bit, scratched, cursed at, and our hair pulled, all while trying to teach them. In spite of any of this, we care immeasurably about these amazing children. The loss of staff will inevitably cause burnout of our retained staff, increase of injuries to retained staff, increase of injuries to students, staff not receiving their legally required breaks and lunches, students not receiving the education they are legally entitled to and deserve. The cuts will result in students failing classes because there is no IA in the pull-out classroom to help. This also places additional burden on the classroom teacher who must manage crowded classrooms and the special needs students with no additional help. The results of these horrific staffing decisions will not be seen today or tomorrow, but in 6 months, 9 months, or a year from now. Students failing because of lack of staff is not an acceptable option. We propose that you reconsider these detrimental cuts, and as a district, be proactive instead of reactive. The right to an education will not be met by the school district with the new staffing model being implemented. Education will no longer be the focus in our classroom, survival will. Thank you for your time. Okay, High School DLC. You didn't have to hold up your sign.
Hi, are you,
I'm Marissa Bray.
that would be right.
I'm Marissa Bray. I live at 623 Claremont Drive Northeast in Salem. I've been an employee at McKay High School for 6 years, and I've been in life skills for the last 4 years. I just wanted to respond to Superintendent Perry's email and how the budget cut is going to happen. I have personally been injured twice on the job in the last 18 months while working with students in behavior. My first time, I was out of work for 2 months due to a neck injury caused by a student. I am only 5 foot, and I was working with a male student who was 6 foot. And during a passing time, he was running through the halls, pushing the mainstream students to get to the gym. Once in the gym, he sat down and took a break, and as I was standing in the middle of the gym to give him some space, he suddenly charged at me and began hitting on me at the top of my head and my back. We were all alone, and he wouldn't stop. All I could do was curl up and protect myself and wait for help to arrive. Thankfully, one of my coworkers, Ted, showed up and helped me. I still have shoulder numbness and pain from this incident. About a month ago, I was out of work for 2 weeks due to another injury sustained from a student. Sorry, I'm nervous. We had 2 staff remove our 12 students from the room while the student was in a behavior. Myself and 2 other staff tried to keep the student calm. Even though she was destroying our classroom, we asked for additional help, asking our supervisor, David Wood, to come and help us. When he arrived, a simple statement set the student off, and she began to throw a chair at him. At this time, a 4th staff came, which was Brianne, who came to insist. I was putting the student in a restraint after she attacked our assistant principal. I had her in a mat restraint for a brief moment. When she fought back, 2 other staff had to come into the restraint with me, which put me in a harder spot. She threw me against the counter and headbutted me. I still suffer from severe concussion, blurred vision, my back and my hip hurt constant. I'm still going through physical therapy, and I have consistently migraines throughout the day. My coworker, Brianne, was attacked last week, and this student went into a staff-only area, and it took one of our class staff into security to finally get the student to release staff. Our students need de-escalation with the staff and able to walk them down with different personalities to help them calm down for coping skills. Not to mention our students that need support and educational goals. To get staff taken away from them because of high behavioral students, more than 1 staff to assist. We utilize the staff we have in our classroom. It's crucial they stay the same hours that we have right now. Without the support we have for the next year, our students will suffer academically, and staff may be more seriously injured than we have these past years.
Thank you. Brianne Mendoza?
Yeah, Mendoza.
Okay.
My name is Brianne Mendoza. I live at 4858 San Miguel Court in Northeast Salem, Oregon. I am a limited term special needs IA. I've been at McKay since September, and before this, I long-term subbed at Parrish in their skip program. Okay, I'm going to read you an email that I sent to our principal today. Good afternoon, Mr. Schoper. I am sending this email in response to Superintendent Perry's email about reducing hours of limited term and temporary IAs. My concern on the subject is safety of our staff and the ability to academically support the students, specifically in rooms such as our life skills class here at McKay. In our room, we have 2 returning students who have exhibited violence towards staff and 2 other who we have identified that have the potential to become violent, all of which are returning in the fall. When one of these students is in a behavior, we group up in 2 or 3, and we do everything we can to prevent an escalation. Even with groups, de-escalation techniques, and security staff available, we have had 3 classroom staff sent to the hospital this year. While this chaos is happening, other staff is able to move students to another location and carry on with the lesson that they are working on. The student-to-staff ratio that is proposed in the 2018-19 school year does not support our students' needs. With a reduced staff, when we have a high behavior, we will be leaving the students who are not in behavior to fend for themselves, unsupported in their academics for extended periods of time. This is not meeting their IEPs. Students who go through the crisis cycle need intervention. Oftentimes, this crisis cycle cannot be interrupted and becomes violent. These are not safe situations for 1 and even 2 staff to handle on their own. Please convey my concerns to the district. I would ask that you take special consideration to classes that have had a history of violent behaviors. Thank you.
That concludes the list of people wishing to give testimony on the budget. So I will now close the budget hearing. Okay, moving on to public comment. Okay. Thank you. Okay, the first one who wishes to give public comment on an agenda item is Krista Rohrbach.
Hi. I'm going to read off my phone if that's all right.
That's fine.
Do you need my address?
Yes, please.
3647 River Road, North Kaiser. Okay. My name is Krista Rohrbach, and I have been acting as a one-on-one adult assistant throughout this school year. I work at an elementary school, and though my title is one-on-one, I am actually a two-on-one, as I support 2 children with disabilities in the same mainstream classroom. Throughout the day, I juggle these children's needs and support their learning. When they need a break in the Learning Resource Center because the classroom is too stimulating, I take them there, supervise their break, and help transition them back to the classroom. When a teacher has to order a room clear because my students aren't behaving safely, I stay to calm them down and keep them safe. I help give them access to general education curriculum, access that is similar to that of their neurotypical peers. Not because the classroom teacher can't, but because that teacher has an average of 30 other students to attend to, each with individual learning needs of their own. My job is a necessity for the students I work with because I help keep them focused and safe. I was sad when I found out I would need to voluntarily leave my position at the end of this school year. I was absolutely livid when I heard that my position would not be filled, but would instead be cut completely from the Salem Kaiser School District, along with hundreds of other absolutely vital positions. This decision is a completely embarrassing and disgraceful action. It is appalling, deplorable, and downright lazy to take away vital assistance that our students in our district need for the sole purpose of solving a budget issue. By not holding students who don't meet grade level standards back, this district pushes kids through school without a second thought towards how they will catch up. And now you've taken away the greatest service allocated to students from the very ones who need it the most. When I first started my job in the first week of school, I asked one of my students what he wanted to be when he grew up. He thought for a moment before looking very seriously at me and whispering, "I want to be a smart boy." I told him he already was, and he didn't believe me. We worked together all year on catching him up to his beginning grade level standards. And now each day before he gets on the bus, he tells me what a good and smart boy he is. Now he's going to go into yet another grade level he is not prepared for, and there will be nobody sitting in that classroom to help him and give him the one-on-one attention he needs. How dare you take that away from him?
Cynthia Stinson, okay, that would have been my second guess. Okay.
Sorry, gonna make a little adjustment here. Superintendent Perry and members of the board, my name is Cynthia Stinson. I live at 3272 Holiday Drive South in Salem, and I'm the parent of 3 special needs children, all whom utilize adult assistance in their classroom. I want to add my emphasis to really the confusion. The new math doesn't add up for me. So I hope that the school board will see fit to reissue a statement that explains how adding staff equals removing staff. I will tell you what this means for me and the impact it means for me, and I will say I have some other supportive parents behind me, but I only get 3 minutes because they didn't sign up. So for at least one of my children, a conversation that I had recently with the teacher was about moving forward with her IEP plan to try to push out into general ed classes. She will be going to one of the high schools that you have chosen not to have an ERC in now, in her 9th grade year, and she'll be going to 8th grade next year. So we're trying to prepare to push her out into gen ed classes. And the conversation I had after getting a call from this teacher was, we've run into a snag. And I said, well, what's going on? Well, our assistants are being cut. And so I don't know that I can push your child out into the classroom that she needs because I don't have enough IAs. So what's going to happen for my child if that can't become a reality, despite all of the teachers' incredible efforts in this incredible classroom that she teaches in, is that my child will not be ready to go into the new inclusion model that you all have put into place that was not planned and not well implemented in high school. And I also have a high schooler that I'm concerned about. She has an IA in order to access her education. I'm told that she will continue to have hers. And I haven't yet talked to the elementary school teacher about the IA for my little guy who's still a runner. I'm hoping that he will have an IA so he won't be running across Liberty Street on the first day of school. So I too urge you to look at your math and also to look at your messaging. As you can see from the testimony here, there is a community and a group of parents and educators, and I include the IAs as educators in this town that greatly are concerned about these children. They are our hearts, and they deserve an education that they are entitled to. I don't know what's going on with the math, but your messaging has not been clear. As you can see, you have a lot of people that are extremely upset and concerned that their children and the children that they are teaching and caring for are not going to have the supports that they need next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Kim Halley? Kim? Looks like Halle.
Kim Holly.
Ollie.
Holly. 3415 Cherokee Drive South. I have a freshman who is at Sprague. She was part of the program that pushed out. She's done really well this year. Sprague put her on honor roll along with several other students. But I have to say, that IA that helped her out made all the difference for her. She has been at home studying for finals. She is very, very concerned about her grades. She works really hard. The IA that helps her works really hard too. I can't imagine what her life would be like without having additional support. And I have to say that the educators at Sprague, they're all doing their best to kind of help these kids that had been in a secluded classroom, a self-contained classroom, try to do the best that they can. Sprague is a huge school. It's a little community out there. And I just hope that you reconsider your budget and make sure that these kids have the support that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. Shannon Campbell.
I'm Shannon Campbell, and my address is 2829 Vibert Street South here in Salem. And I have 3 children. I have twin 13-year-old daughters who go to Leslie Middle School, and I have a 15-year-old son that goes to South, and he also, like Kim and Cynthia, has pushed into some general education classes this year. First semester was tough. Second semester was a little easier. They made some changes to the classes, and he wasn't sitting next to typically developing peers and having to have all of the information interpreted, essentially. So it's been a better second semester. So I'm appreciative to the administration at South for listening. Couple things I just wanted to say. I won't take the full 3 minutes. I think it's important when disseminating staff to the schools to make sure that it's based not just on the population of the school. I spoke with an ERC teacher today who said she had heard that the numbers were going to be equally distributed based on the size of the school. So, for example, Candelaria Elementary School would perhaps have the same number of IAs available as maybe Richmond. Obviously, Richmond is going to need a little bit more. They're a Title I school. They need more assistance. And another teacher that I spoke to today said that he really wanted to make sure he was involved in the hiring process for the aides in his classroom because they're a team. They serve these kids together, and it's really important that they know who it is that they're hiring for their class and that they feel good about it. He found out that there was a posting for a position in his class by seeing it online himself. And then one of the IAs in his class, a limited, what are they called, limited term staff, she found out she was no longer going to be there because the principal let her know that her hours were going to be cut back. Not that she wasn't going to be there, but her hours were going to be cut back. And that felt like something that this teacher thought perhaps he should be able to share with her. So just the lines of communication get a little bit blurred, and I think it's important to acknowledge that our teachers need to have the right to be involved in the hiring of whoever goes into their rooms, even if it's over the summer. He said, I don't care if I'm on a beach in Hawaii, I want a phone call. I want to be able to be a part of that process so that we can be a cohesive team. So, and that's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Mark Atkinson.
Board Chair Kylo, Vice Chair Lee, Director, Superintendent Perry. My name is Mark Atkinson, and I live at 2262 Banyonwood Avenue, Northwest Salem, Oregon. We're here to speak to you regarding the 2018-2019 budget. Over the past several meetings, SK members have come to you expressing concerns about numerous shortcomings in the budget. Our concerns over these shortcomings have been, and will continue to be, that the budget does not support or provide enough resources to our members to educate the students that we are in charge of, and the Salem Kaiser School District deserves. Our passion for students and their needs will continue to drive our association's work. The concerns we have raised included, but are not limited to, shortcomings in curriculum, increasingly overcrowded classrooms, lack of drug and alcohol counseling, allowance for time in the school day, and improved supports for educators to address student behaviors through additional social, emotional learning opportunities. Lack of time due to imposed meetings. Lack of funding for basic supplies and resources our students need. Lack of pay for avid teacher work with parents, students, and required trainings. We recognize not everyone would have an easier time meeting all the needs of the students if the state provided more revenue and a larger amount was allocated to the state school fund. With the amount of money Salem Kaiser receives, I know that we can only make gains that the funding allows for. We will continue to advocate on behalf of the students and the licensed employees in this district in a way that we feel maximizes teacher effectiveness. There's still money being spent on services and companies outside the district that we feel need to be improved to become effective or spend the funds more directly on our students. We hope this dialogue continues with teacher voice present in these decisions moving forward. We hope that you as board members have the opportunity to speak directly with teachers about as many of these topics as possible, to have the unfiltered perspective of the frontline workforce teaching the students in this district. Hearing directly from teachers will be important to fully understand all of these topics and to make budgetary decisions in the years to come. I'd like to thank all the individuals that took their time to come and speak to you about the budget on behalf of the needs of the students in Salem and Kaiser over the last couple of months, and to thank you for your work. Thank you for all you do for the students and staff in this district. This has not been an easy process, nor will it be easier until we can do something about the funding woes in the state. I would hope that you would continue to consider how teacher voice could improve this process. I hope you all have a great summer. Thank you.
Mindy Merritt.
Board Chair Kylo, Vice Chair Lee, Superintendent Perry, and members of the school board. My name is Mindy Merritt, and I live at 2381 Teal Drive, South Salem. Tonight I speak to you as the president of the Salem Kaiser Education Association. One of the many benefits I am afforded within the position that I'm currently serving as an elected governance within the association is I get to visit the many schools within our district. I get to experience the joy of our students and the amazing professionalism of our educators and staff. Like many of you, it absolutely floors me. The things, the celebrations, and the joy that takes place within our schools. We definitely have our ups and downs. We definitely have our challenges, and we've addressed that over the year. Tonight, I too am addressing the challenge that we face as we strive to find the opportunities and ensure that if we're really here to ensure that all students receive the opportunity regardless of where they live, and we know that they deserve the support, tools, and time to learn, if we're serious about every child's future, then we need to get serious about doing what works. This means that resourcing for all schools, so students have teachers and education support professionals that they need the one-on-one attention. And I appreciate and value the work that's been done in the special ed redesign and the adult assistance. I know that that's important work, and I know that the forward thinking to that is so that students will have the ongoing support. However, we also have to address the needs and the behaviors within our classrooms and the resources necessary to provide that. How do we ensure that all students receive the opportunity and supports that they need to succeed? And that's the challenge that we face. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that concludes all of the folks who signed up to speak on the agenda. We are now down to action items. As per our agreements, we've gone over an hour, so we should probably take a brief break. Say 4 minutes? 5, okay, I'm looking at the clock, 5 minutes. So we'll reconvene at 21 after 7. I understand.
Yeah.
At this time, I will now accept a motion to approve Resolution 2017-4. Is someone making that motion? 2718-4.
I'll make a
Supplemental budget.
motion to
Okay.
pass the resolution for the,
Director Hyen moves that we move on Resolution 2017-18-4. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Sharon, thank you. Is there any discussion? Chuck declared his conflict
already
of interest
declared once,
earlier,
yep.
so we've got that on the record.
Potential conflict.
Potential conflict, it's on the record, okay? Anyone else? Any other comments or concerns?
Is this just on this one part?
It's on 2017-18-4. So it's only on the first resolution. Okay? Anyone? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, the motion passes. All right. Now, there's the acceptance of the May 15th, 2018 Salem Kaiser School District Measure 24-429, election results of Marion and Polk counties that determined the results favorable for the bond. Is there a motion to accept the results?
I move to accept the results.
Second.
Mr. Lee, Mr. Lippold, thank you. Is there discussion? Director Hyen.
I just wanted to make a comment. As a board member, of course, I know how overcrowded our schools are, and because of that, I'm glad the bond passed. But for some people, especially in my district, it's going to be a hardship. The bond actually failed in my precinct because I live in an area of high poverty. So even though I'm glad that it did pass, the kids need it, just know that some people are going to have a tough time with that.
Okay. Jesse?
And I just wanted to take the time to thank everybody who did help, because it took a lot of work from our entire community to get this bond passed. And also to those who had concerns, because there were a significant amount of people who also were concerned about the bond. I also want to thank you for your generousness and your willingness to help out our schools. I know that sometimes it can be hard to, it seems like Uncle Sam's always trying to take more and more, you know. I feel like it feels like it always grows as a taxpayer. And so I know that it can be a hard thing to approve a bond like that. And so I just wanted to thank everybody for that, and also let you know that us as a board, we try our best to ensure that the district is as responsible financially as well, so as our staff, Christy, Mike, Kelly, and everybody. They do a really good job at ensuring that that we're going to be fiscally responsible with that. So thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Chuck?
I'd just like to add a measure of thanks. I represented the board on the Political Action Committee that worked tirelessly for months and months and months to get that passed. And so we had some outstanding donors. We had great support, and we had a good leadership team with the three individuals who really kind of chaired the campaign. So without their efforts, I'm not sure we would have been successful. So I just wanted to publicly thank all of the people who were on that Political Action Committee that worked for about a half a year to make that a reality.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? All right. All those in favor of accepting the May 15th, 2018 Salem Keizer District Measure 24-429 results for Marion and Polk counties, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. All right. Now we're down to Resolution 2017-18-5, adoption and appropriation of the 2018-19 budget, and resolution to impose and categorize taxes for fiscal year 2018-19. Is there a motion? Sharon?
So I move that we accept staff recommendation to approve resolution 2017-18-5.
Okay. It comes from the Budget Committee, so I believe it doesn't require a second. So, discussion. Oh, Marty?
I just have a kind of a question / comment. So, you know, with tonight's testimony and everything, my understanding, though, is we can't make any changes other than, what, $5,000 to any particular area. Is that correct?
Not quite, it's 10%.
10% or 5,000. Okay.
Jesse?
I just want to say, as I'm going over the budget, because as a banker, right, I'm used to seeing a side of people's finances that a lot of people would never see. And a lot of times what I see in people is there's smaller things that they get nickel and dimed, right? And that explains a lot of why their finances are the way that they are. And I feel like sometimes, especially as a government entity, that when the budget is this big, it's hard to wrap our mind around, hey, this is over $1 billion, but almost $1 billion budget, right? And so it's hard to wrap our minds around what that would actually look like. And so sometimes it's easy for us to say, oh, well, that's so small in comparison to the big picture. But sometimes, just like as I would see with customers, it's those little things that add up to a significant amount, which to us in a boardroom doesn't seem like a lot. But to a classroom or to taxpayers or to teachers or to students, it can be a significant amount of money. And so I just wanted to, just express my concern for not just the budget for district, but mainly also the budget for like how our entire state, honestly, I believe has a problem with education and the way that it's viewed. And so I think we have a lot of work to do as far as that goes. I do 100% fully believe in Christy and their staff and Mike, Kelly, everybody. I think you guys do a wonderful job, and I believe in our teachers. And so to our teachers, I want to ask you to hang in there because, especially the ones who feel concerned, it's because in the long run, we're all going to make it. We're going to do well. And I truly believe that if we all work together and we unite, that we can make a huge impact for our kids and for the students. Even though sometimes it feels like we're at button heads with each other, I think it's important to remember that we're all on the same team. And so I just wanted to say that.
Okay, anyone else? Care to, Jim?
You know, Mr. Chair, I've served on the Budget Committee for 4 years prior to my time on the board. That's 11 years going over Salem Kaiser School District budgets, and I think only twice have we been able to do additions to the budget. So this is a systemic problem. I think one of the people who testified earlier tonight said this is a state problem, and it truly is a state problem about how we allocate resources and whether we do actually prioritize our K-12 schools within our state budget. I don't like this budget. I'll support this budget because I think it's the best we can do right now. I do appreciate the work of Mike, Sarah, and his team in putting this together. It's not easy to do. Superintendent Perry, thanks for answering all of our questions. I'd like to thank this board and the Budget Committee for all the work that we did. It's a high-paying job. And I do want to thank SKEA and our support professionals as well for pointing out things and issues that we need to look at and hear about from our team on how we're allocating resources. Again, it's not a budget I like, but it's the best we can do at this time. And I think echoing what Jesse said to our staff, hang with us. We're going to try to work through these issues and do the best we can for kids, because the number one priority we have is for our students in this school district. And it is going to take a massive effort like passing our bond to get our state legislature and the taxpayers of this state to step up to the plate and fund education at a level we need to have to ensure that our mission is met and every other school district's mission in this state is met. And with that, Mr. Chair, I will, under advice of legal counsel, declare a potential conflict of interest. Yes. The association I work for receives dues monies from the school district, right, and I will declare a potential conflict of interest with regard to the budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Chuck?
I will be declaring a potential conflict of interest also because of the amount of money that's allocated to the CTEC Center, and I'm very involved with that, even though I have no financial gain at all by anything that's in this budget.
Thank you. Anyone else? Kathy, Sharon? Okay. All those in, Jesse?
What Jim said.
Okay. All those in favor of action item C, approve resolution 2718-5, adoption and appropriation of the 2018-19 budget and resolution to impose and categorize taxes for fiscal year 2018-19, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay. Moving on. We'll need a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between Salem Kaiser School District and Mountain West Career Technical Education Institute.
I move we approve the memorandum of understanding between the Salem Kaiser School District and Mountain West Career Technical Education
Okay.
Center.
Director Green, is there a second?
Second.
Marty, thank you. Okay, discussion? Kathy?
So I don't think there's any question at all that we need job skills put back in our high schools. Not everyone is headed to college, nor should they be, nor do they want to be. And CTEC is our program, one of many, that will help us do that. I think it's very important, and I think the public does support that, just so you know what that is.
Okay. All right, I saw Jim's hand, Chuck's hand, and I don't know, did I see Sharon's hand? No. Jim?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I asked a question of our legal counsel prior to this meeting with regard to indemnification and protection of the school district with regard to the site where our current center sits. And legal counsel did indicate to us that as best as we can be, we are protected and indemnified from any environmental actions that may occur. And that was an important concern for me. I do want to thank the Tokarski family, Larry Tokarski in particular, for the donation and the work that's gone on out at CTEC. But we do have a responsibility as a board, a fiduciary duty, to make sure that we don't put the district at liability for anything with regard to the site. And according to legal counsel, we should be okay, and I hope we are. and I do support this.
Okay. Chuck?
5 years ago, I was hired by Larry Tokarski to kind of lead the efforts to create CTEC, and it's been a great experience. And I've had to abstain from a lot of votes as they relate to CTEC, and I'll be abstaining from this one too, just because of my connection with CTEC.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. All those in favor of approving the memorandum of understanding between Salem Kaiser School District and Mountain West Career Technical Education Center, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Abstentions?
One.
Aye. Okay. So the vote was 6 with 1 abstention. 6 aye. Okay, moving on to consent calendar. Consent calendar, we accept all of these unless someone has one that they wish pulled. Marty.
I would like to pull summer field trips G18Y6 and
8Y6.
Oh, top one.
G19KS, my future, my choice.
What was it? G1?
G19K5, sorry, I said S. I should put my
Okay,
readers
K5.
on so I can
Okay.
tell if it's an
Any
S or a
other
5.
items on the consent calendar that you wish to pull? Anyone? 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 Okay.
I'd move adoption of the consent calendar minus the issues that Director Hyan has pulled from the consent calendar.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Lipple, thank you. So, all those in favor of accepting the consent calendar with the modifications, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Abstentions, motion passes. All right, looking at G1AY6.
Yeah, the summer field trips, Indian education, salmon and cedar is what it's entitled. I was curious as to what the criteria was for the students that get to go to that summer camp or summer program.
So this grant in particular is tied to the grant on the second page, G19B1 Indian Education. And the Indian Education grant helps in part pay for summer school. And any student in grade 1st through 8th grade that's flagged in our system as identifying as a Native American Alaskan Native are eligible for the summer school and therefore the field trip. This year it's 3 weeks of Indian Education Summer School. The theme is Oregon Coastal Tribes, and there's a partnership with OSU and Marine Science Center.
Okay, thank you.
Does that answer your question on
It
that one?
does.
Would you make a motion to
Can we
accept this
comment?
item? Go ahead. You're not, okay, go ahead.
Okay, sure. I just want to say that I'm a member of Grand Ronde, and I just want to say that from a community that's one of the lowest graduation rate in our state, I think it's really cool that we're allocating funds to help those kids, especially in things that they're interested in, like doing things outside of the classroom. So I think that's really awesome.
Okay. So Marty has moved to accept G1AY6. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jim. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. All right, G19K5.
Yeah, so my future, my choice, the grant supports health education program for middle school students. I'm just wondering if there's a resource for parents who want to see what the curriculum actually has in it.
We do have all the curriculums available in the school offices, and we do encourage parents to set up an appointment to go in and view them. We also, the standards are on the Oregon Department of Education website, but we also encourage them to interact with educators around the content as well. But it's all available in middle school offices.
And a note goes home.
Okay,
A note goes home.
all right. Is there a motion to accept G19K5?
I'll make the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. So it has been moved and seconded. Further discussion? Further comment? All right. Hearing none, seeing none. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Okay, now we're on to readings. Resolution 2017-18-12. 12, a resolution of Salem Kaiser School District, number 24J/32, Marion and Polk Counties, Oregon, authorizing the sale, the issuance, sale, and delivery of general obligation bonds, designating an authorized representative, delegating the negotiation and approval of financial documents and related materials. I believe that goes probably to Mike.
Good evening again. Tonight, for first reading, you have the financial resolution, as Chair Kylo had mentioned, as the board plate delineates. It essentially authorizes the board. I just want to hit some key aspects of the resolution that you'll vote on the 26th. Authorizes the board chair, superintendent, and chief operations officer to act on behalf of the district to issue, sell, accept, negotiate, and approve all financial documents and transactions related to the voter-approved 2018 general obligation bond. I'd like to highlight some key aspects of the resolution for you. Certainly not go through page by page, line by line, but it does establish the board's authority to issue general obligation bonds to finance capital costs based on the election that you just certified. And the election was duly and legally held with certified results, approving the bond measure provided to the board by both Marion and Polk counties. And the board determines the results through the approval of this resolution. So that takes care of your legal requirements to do so. It authorizes the issuance of general obligation bonds in one or more series not to exceed 30 years from the date of issue, and sets the initial issuance not to exceed $450 million. The resolution also affirms Hawkins, Delafield, and Wood as a bond counsel for the issuance of the bonds, and Piper Jaffray as the underwriter or placement agent for the bonds. We've also provided you with a schedule of events that you have, color copy, to see all of the tasks associated with the issuance of the bond. We also have a preferred scenario, which is the color chart, which is also on the presentation. But before I talk about the preferred scenario, I'd like to call your attention to the schedule, and specifically to June 15th, which is this Friday. That begins a 2-week period of review by the board of the preliminary official statement, POS, which is similar to an investment prospectus for the municipal bond market. You'll receive that document via email. You'll have 2 weeks to review and provide any comments or questions back to me. And then you'll note that final comments are due on June 28th. And then that moves us into basically the pricing of the offer takes place over the week of July 10th, with closing occurring on July 25th. So everything moves pretty quickly after you approve the authorizing resolution to do so. We've obviously been working with our bond counsel and Piper Jaffray for several months in anticipation of a end of July issuance and closing for the bonds. That brings us to the preferred scenario of 2 issuances. So I wanted to call your attention to the bar graph. And what you see here is the scenario of 2 sales. Each issuance is a 20-year duration. And so the first issuance that we're talking about is essentially around a $422 million issuance, and you can see that that's the blue bars. You can see that that's stepped down starting in year 4, and then steps down even further 7 years later. So around 2030, there'll be a step down. In about 3 years, we think that we'll be ready for the second issuance, which you can see will be slightly under $200 million at that point. And you can see how it stair steps as well over its 20-year period. There were other scenarios that we looked at, one of which would have been, this is a tax-exempt scenario, a taxable bond scenario. We could have offered for the board to consider issuing the entire $620 million at once, What that would have done was locked in the levy rate for the next 20 years at the higher rate. So with this two-sale scenario and the stair-stepping of the debt service over the 23-year period total, what that does is provide future boards with flexibility in about 10 years. And that flexibility where you could determine the need for the next bond. I know it's kind of early to be talking about it tonight, but I want you to understand that the way that this financing scenario is structured takes into account future flexibility for a future board that may be wrestling with similar issues that you have. So that's kind of where we are tonight. It provides you with provides a future board with flexibility, but also takes care of what our needs are in moving forward and delivering this bond program, which, as you know, is a fairly aggressive schedule over 5 years. So there's 2 issuances, about 422, not to exceed 450 the first issuance, and then slightly under 200 million in the second issuance.
Any questions for Mike? Jim?
So, Mike, I'm looking at this. We just supported the election that had almost 620 million. You're saying we should do a two-step, which is about 422, not to exceed 450 in the first one, with about between 170 and 190 in the second issuance. If the bond market changes, though, we could go to the bond market earlier in that second sale, though, couldn't we?
We'd have to talk about whether they would be tax exempt or taxable. Does that make sense? Because
yeah, because you're playing arbitrage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes, we are, but also we have to have the reasonable assurance that we can spend at least 85%
Right.
of the bond proceeds within 36 months. So our delivery schedule really kind of aligns. We've aligned the financing package with our delivery schedule.
Okay.
That's for tax exempt. We could go out earlier if they were taxable bonds.
And I would think that Piper Jeffrey and our attorneys would look at that and give us advice on what the market's looking at that particular point.
Absolutely.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Mike. All right. Next, I believe, is the executive limitations.
All right, the first one is executive limitation, which is the 12th monitoring report for 17-18. This is the executive limitation around legally required policies. So the first page are those policies that you acknowledge it's your responsibility to approve or adopt, and we list those each year for you and update them over the course of the year if we need them updated. On the second page, it makes references to where we made changes to policies. I can always get you more detail if you want. And then the last section is the policies that we're currently working on revising or adding. And right now, we're working with Oregon School Boards Association around their policy work. And so these are the policies that we have flagged as some that need some additional attention, and we're in the process of working on those. And so I'm going to just jump into your question, Marty. Is that okay? The public comment at board meetings is listed there. We will bring forward what's recommended. You don't have a board governance policy around public comment, and we'll bring forward the recommended policy that you can look at this summer if you want to actually adopt a policy around public comment embedded into your other policies, or leave it as is. No great urge to change, but just want to bring it forward with what the recommendations are.
Anyone have a comment or question? Anyone with a comment or a question? I do. No one else does. In the future, I would like to see the changed policies.
All right. Do you want those given?
They can just be given at a board meeting and just be part of the consent calendar would be fine.
Okay.
I don't think we need to discuss them, just see them.
Okay.
Okay. Executive limitation 11. That's it. There were no
That's it.
questions. That's it.
you want me to go on to 11?
please.
Sorry. All right, so this is executive limitation 11 academic program. You received some questions around prior to that, so I've updated this in hopes of answering the question. This is a comprehensive policy, so I would urge us to think about, are there places for future that you either want reports in more in depth than what an executive limitation would do. So I'm going to highlight just a couple changes from last time. The question came up around elementary level and STEM, and we do have 12 schools that each have at least one grade level in them that are beginning to do some pilot work. I have the list of those schools are Lamb, Myers, Auburn, Shirley, Hayesville, Scott, Cummings, Clear Lake, McKinley, Hoover, Chapman Hill, and Yoshikai. Just one grade level at those schools, and a mix of title and non-title schools. On to page 2, were some questions around the master schedule, and I think the best explanation of why the importance of a standard master schedule across elementary schools is provided to you. And one of the things I want to highlight there is that what we found when we were beginning to look at our elementary schools is that because of the numbers of minutes, we could have an elementary student receiving 4 months more of math instruction at one school versus another, just by the nature of the master schedule and how much time was spent on math or reading. So we did try to structure that so that whatever school a student went to, they could be guaranteed a similar number of minutes of instruction. Some other questions came up around universal screeners. So at the bottom of that page, there's some information about our Easy CBM, which is a universal screener, which is really helping us look at where students are and look at our core instruction to be sure that we're getting good core instruction for our students, and then to be able to determine where we need interventions. And then I think there were some questions around the tag office and some questions that came up about that. We do have some purchase kits that we have better accessibility for, and those have been checked out in 32 schools K through 12 and have reached over 7,000 students, hoping to maximize that for next year. There's some information on data teams on the next page, and I'm trying to think where else. I think the one we want to continue to pay really close attention to is, and you heard it tonight, about behaviors, and that really escalation of student behaviors, both in the needs for budgetary items, but also additional training and support for our staff. It's a real need that's out there. While I didn't put it as evidences of non-compliant, what I hope you see is that we are systematically beginning making changes as we have new strategies that work. So one example I'll just give you in that regard is we have had in the past a behavior cadre that goes out and helps schools, and what we're finding is that the behavior cadre is really helpful when they're there, but there isn't enough support for what happens when they leave the school. So next year we'll be initiating more embedded behavior cadre, which is what we added partway through the year this year. So know that this is continues to be high on our minds. If you want some reports in a different way related to behavior, we can talk about behavior and the strategies that we're attempting all day long. It doesn't help if you're people on the front lines and you also get hurt. And one thing I'd like to note too is that the testimony tonight you heard are real examples in classrooms. We are looking at each of the allocation of the adult assistants, and we're coming back next week as an administrative team to look at where have we allocated, are there places we need to allocate more. We also have some reserve pool in purpose for kids that show up. So we'll have continuing conversations outside of conversations that will come into the boardroom. So if you want additional reports on that, I think it would be great for you decide as a board what's important for you to hear and what else do you need instead. So anyway, with that, that's executive limitation number 11.
Any questions or comments? Sharon, then Jim.
So just a quick comment. You know, we so much appreciate when folks come out, and especially teachers, and they describe to us and those of us that visit our schools, you know, hear the same. I also wanted to mention that Superintendent Perry and I participated in the statewide initiative looking at student success across the state, K through 12, hosted by the legislature. So the listening sessions, and overwhelming, every administrator, every teacher, every office support person in the room, it was the same concern, the social emotional challenges that we're facing and the behavior issues and the lack of resources to address that. So, you know, we have a heartbreaking budget situation. However, this is a recognized priority. And I will say on behalf of myself, and I think, you know, others, that we recognize these challenges and the importance of focusing on this. But we also are realizing that this is being brought to the attention of the legislature at the state level. And I think that there will be some real efforts to begin to look at how we allocate funds for social and emotional issues and behaviors, and overwhelmingly it comes down to, you know, how do we best serve these students, but also how do we protect the teachers and the administrators in the classrooms. So I appreciate the work that the district is doing in this area, and I appreciate the testimony.
Okay, Jim?
A couple of things, Mr. Chair. And I think we heard it during the budget process with regard to educational excellence, or edX. I think it would give an opportunity for the board, and we may want to talk about it at our summer retreat, to get some further information from the administration on this, with particular on what types of professional development we're having for administrators in implementing this, professional development for our teachers in implementing this, the good, the bad, maybe the ugly that go along with educational excellence, and try to get a handle around that. We did hear a lot about it during our budgeting process, and I think it's an opportunity for the administration to talk to the district board about what it means, why we're doing it, what are the resources we put into it, and where are there still challenges that we need to work through. And as always, textbooks are an issue with me, and we have Ready Mathematics on board, and I just want to make sure that it is meeting all of our needs, because our last reading curriculum adoption had some issues, and I just want to make sure that our Ready Mathematics is a program that is working for our teachers, for our administrators, and more importantly for our students. And I mean every student. That means our language students that aren't English language learners. I want to make sure that that curriculum is being implemented in a way that we are not being discriminatory in any way with regard to our student and our student population across the district. But I would like to have a little bit more information about Ed Excellence. We can talk about that at our summer retreat, and maybe what reports we get on that for next year's budget preparation. And also just an update maybe from Kelly and his staff on the Ready Mathematics for our elementary math adoption.
Great.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Kathy?
Well, I think that we're living in a changing world, and schools are noting that too. It's happening to all of us. And what we're trying to do is find new behavioral programs, new techniques, things that we can do that will help children calm down, adjust, and do their best, put them in a position where they can do their best. So I hope that those people that testified tonight understand that we're operating under a lot of financial stipulations that we really can't control. But I think it's going to help, and rest assured it's being looked at carefully.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else? All right, my turn. It was my understanding that this report was going to discuss AVID, and yet I don't find AVID referenced anywhere in it. We were told during the budget process, we would learn about Avid tonight. There were some very specific questions asked. There's nothing in here about Avid. I have concerns about the master schedule and what looks like what's called repeatedly the universal screener. I think that works great for students who are widgets, but what do we do for the students who aren't widgets that don't fit within the progress that's supposed to be made according to the master schedule? Or don't fit within the universal screener? That's a real question.
That's what the universal screener is for, so that it looks at all students
Okay.
and helps determine interventions for those students.
For the individual students?
Correct.
And when do those happen if within the master schedule?
They're built into the master schedule. That's the purpose of the master schedule.
I thought you just said the master schedule, as I read this, indicated that we're supposed to make sure that all students get the same amount of time. And if they're getting all the same amount of time and the same lessons according to the edX, how does a student who doesn't fit the widget model get their help?
Built into the elementary master schedule is a time for reading, a time for math, and also a time for intervention and enrichments. So it's built into that master schedule process.
So the students who don't need the enhancements and the enrichments, what do they do then?
There isn't a student who doesn't need
Okay.
enhancements,
Okay.
interventions, or enrichments.
Okay,
If
and
you think
then-
about extensions.
I understood. And then I also had asked during the budget process the percentage of success we were having with students in the Willamette Promise. And I see you reference the Willamette Promise, but I don't see anything that references our success rate or our student success rate.
Promise has been cut.
I'll put it on my list of things if that's important to the board.
Well, we have all of these other exams that we offer as well. And again, I don't know what the success rates are for those. So, also, when you look at the data teams, I see a sentence that says we surveyed the principals. Did we survey the staff as well?
Some of the staff gave input into those.
How some?
I don't know the answer to that.
Okay. Guess that's done for me. Yeah, that's enough. Okay, Jesse?
Oh, I just wanted to thank you, Christy, and your staff for putting this together. Just because I feel like it was very informative for all of us on the board, and so we really appreciate you guys taking the time.
Anyone else? Okay, all those in favor of accepting the report, thumbs up. You can accept the report, thumb sideways, or can't accept the report, thumbs down. Okay, the report is accepted. Okay, moving on.
All right. Next in your packet is a graduation report and a number, I think all of you attended at least one graduation or more. And so this gives you your numbers. It also, graduate, it also gives you the additional students that have worked towards a GED. And while high school diploma is the goal, also completion is the goal. So I just want to recognize that a GED is hard to achieve and represents commitment. We will also be working with a number of our students during the summer, and we will have summer graduation. If you have a chance to go to that, it's awesome that we offer another graduation for them. And then our seal of biliteracy students are really up this year. We've had a major increase in the number of students with that have received the seal of biliteracy, and it means they have demonstrated a high level of proficiency in reading, writing, speaking, and listening in a second language. On the back is our valedictorians and salutatorians from each of the high schools, and as you see, we have a wealth of them across our schools. Thanks for your attendance at graduation as well.
Do you have a date for the summer graduation?
I don't know if the date has been set yet, but I will get Alice to get it and get it out to you. I'll have her just put it on your calendars.
Okay, next item. Next steps.
All right, the next steps on the general obligation bond, Chief Operations Officer Michael Wolf, just to help remind us of what's coming up.
Good evening again. So this will be brief. So you have your matrix of next steps. So we talked about bond financing. There's something we haven't talked about, but we will, and that's the boundary change process that will be necessary to adjust student populations over time. And we're looking at initiating the internal staff team to do that work in July-August timeframe, and then working with the board to establish a boundary advisory committee. And then we will have some land acquisition conversations with the board over the next few months as well. And then we'd like to be able to provide you with some regular program updates. Like, for instance, after the issuance of the bonds, we think you should know exactly what happened. So we'll bring that information to you. And then get you up to speed on where we are in our initial design process for the first 5 projects.
Thank you. Any questions? Questions? Nope. Okay, thank you. The next school board meeting will be June 26th. Please make sure you put that on your calendar. Now it's public comment on non-agenda items. Okay, first we have Katie Shumway.
Good evening, Chair Kylo, Vice Chair Lee, Superintendent Perry, and members of the school board. My name is Katie Shumway, and I reside at 1348 South 7th Street in Independence. I'm here tonight as the principal of Auburn Elementary School, and I'm speaking on behalf of myself and my 3rd grade teachers, as we wish to thank Director Lippold. Last Friday, Director Lippold took time out of his morning to come to Auburn and visit our 3rd grade data team. He spent about 45 minutes with us and engaged in rich conversation about the data team's process, the path the teachers had taken to reach the success they are currently enjoying, and to brainstorm potential next steps our district can take to spread this level of success to other teams and other buildings. My 3rd grade teachers felt listened to, respected, and valued. They appreciated being brought in on an important conversation about a topic they are passionate about. A wise woman once said to me, "We're all on the same team." As the instructional leader of Auburn, I can say that Friday's visit from Director Lippold proved that statement to be true. I'm looking forward to continue visits from and partnership with Director Lippold and the rest of the school board. While Friday was our last data teams meeting of this school year, we will be picking back up in the fall at 7:45 on Fridays, and my open invitation to visit stands. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Mindy Merritt.
Thank you. Chairperson Kylo, Vice Chair Lee, Superintendent Perry. My name is Mindy Merritt, and I reside at 2381 Teal Drive. And I just wanted to say a quote that just keeps emanating with me, because throughout my professional experience, we just keep getting better. We keep getting better. And I think of Maya Angelou, and as she says, when you know better, you do better. But that's not my quote tonight. We know from brain research that the essence of a child's success, creativity, potential, and long-term outlook extends far beyond any standard, benchmark, or assessment. We also know from educational research that the standard practice of data collection and student assessment is not demonstrative of much other than the child's ability to perform on that particular essence. And finally, we've amassed enough research in both neuroscience and educational science to understand the impact of dual language, physical activity, music ability, artistic ability, and creative freedom on the brain, on IQ, and much more. For these reasons, it is critical to ensure we provide creative, physical, musical, linguistic, and other educational opportunities that rise beyond the standards of Common Core, assessments, and outputs we review in our data teams. We must utilize our nation's greatest equalizer, the public education system, in ways that meet the biological, psychological, social, and educational dynamics of the whole child in order to truly create high-functioning citizens of our future generations. Dr. Jessie Payne. And that's why we're all here in this room working together to ensure that we have successful students. I want to wish each and every one of you a successful and safe summer. I look forward to the work we're going to do next year together. And thank you.
Thank you, Mindy. Chris Tarver.
Chris Tarver, 4656 Dutchess Court, Northeast Salem, Oregon. Superintendent, Chairman Kylo, Vice Chair Lee, board members, thank you very much for the time. I just wanted to come by, say thank you. As you guys know, I'm involved at McKay High School in a number of ways, volunteer-wise, support-wise, and I've seen a great increase in the number of you folks coming to the school physically, taking part in things, assisting in the struggle that a lot of us are trying to get done there, and that's getting that bar up and being up there with the some of the other schools here, and in a lot of different ways. I really appreciate it. Superintendent Perry and your staff, you guys have been very supportive of me volunteering. I was able to take part in the Citizens Task Force for the bond and stuff. I've told you this many times before. 3 years now. I've been off my couch, just sticking my nose in places that I don't feel comfortable. But I know that it's for a good cause, and I've told enough. I've been around enough situations where I've had to do a little, maybe not telling the honest, don't want to use the word, but you know what I mean. I can catch on, and with your help, you've made it a lot easier for me to have to do that, to be able to do that. So, and just really want to say thanks to Marty as well. I've watched her play with her at McKay this year. I've seen her at several events. Your support there at the school, it means a lot to the kids, to the staff as well. And it was weird because I wanted to talk about the staff at the school, and I heard several of them talking here earlier. Those folks do a job that I can't say thank you enough for, and I would not want at all in any capacity, but they do it because they care. And I wouldn't want my kids to go to any other school but a school like that, where I know that their safety is number one, but also they're being respected, and taken care of in other ways as well. I wish you guys success for next school year. I'm always here to assist if I can, and thanks again for your time and for your respect. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Catherine, I want to say Spam. Is that Span? Okay. There we go.
Hi, my name is Catherine Span, 2637 Islander Avenue Northwest. That's where I reside. Hi, Superintendent Perry and others. I'm here because I just want to tell you about the Salem Kaiser. My two sons graduated, one with the salutatorian, and he's graduating from OSU next week. And then second one is at Liberty University in Virginia. But anyway, I'm talking about Rachel today. Rachel has a Down syndrome. 12-year-old grew up in a Salem Kaiser school system from DLC to ERC. Now she's in ERC with the IA. And she's just, flourishing. She's a rambunctious. Every special need, teacher would know about Rachel. But now she's playing piano. She's able to go to, inclusion class, art class, and then a music class. She's in PE. She's flourishing. She nicknamed every one of your security guard. King George, she nicknames and Miss Bennett goes, no, you're not going to nickname mine. She knows her name now, Heather. So she nicknames her Heather now. But anyway, I'm just saying please give her a chance. She is flourishing like a crazy. She was an honor student like last quarter or last semester. So now she wants to go to college. If your vision is to have all students graduate from high school and go to college, she needs to be in inclusion. Without the helper, she will never be able to go to inclusion, art class or any other science classes. You know what we need to do is to modify her curriculum so that she'll be able to finish finish it so she could go to grad school, the high school and college. That's her dream. She wants to go to college like her brothers. And I wish you would consider about the IA. Without the IA, she won't be able to go to the mainstream. So I'm not very good at speaking in public, so forgive me. But anyway, I just want to thank you. You guys do a great job with the music. My boys did a great job in music. Second one still plays the viola from Miss Thompson's class. So anyway, just want to thank you for all that you do, but give a little consideration for the special needs children. You guys do a great job, except the special needs. Please give us some compassion and thought through. Okay, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Board activities, board members, Jim?
So, sorry. In addition to our great music program, we also had a pretty good successful baseball program this year across the district. Of what they call the Elite Eight, we had 3 high schools playing, and 2 high schools made it to the Final Four. Unfortunately, we didn't have anybody playing in the championship, but we had a good spring baseball season. The other thing I wanted to say, I know we've already thanked them publicly, but the Nestle Corporation gave us a whole bunch of water, and I want to give a shout out to my friend and fellow Sprague alum Dan Jarman, who is their corporate person here in Salem. He contacted me the minute they saw a water issue and said, is there any way Nestle can donate water? I called Christy, I called Mike. I think they diverted 2 trucks and gave us an additional 170,000 bottles as well. I just want to say thanks to Dan, to the Nestle Corporation, and to Target. Hopefully we've got enough water to make it through the week. But I do want to thank Dan and Nestle and Target for helping out our kids, our staff, and our communities with this water issue in our schools. And also thanks to Mike and Christy. Quick turnaround on that. We were able to get the water here, so thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you. Jesse?
I just wanted to thank Auburn for letting me come sit in on the data teams. I know that some of the teachers, especially after hearing the budget process, I can completely understand the concern that people from every angle are feeling. And so what I really appreciated going there was they weren't afraid to ask me hard questions. I thought that was awesome, just because I feel like open communication is the best thing that our district can have, and the best thing that we can have as a school district to help our kids succeed. And I think that's hugely important. And they were nothing but welcoming, kind, and they were able to show me what they were doing, why they were doing it, and especially with their model, with them being as successful as they are with data teams, they even expressed how willing they were to help other people as well. And so I just wanted to give them a shout out and just say that they were so kind, and that you guys should go check it out, because it was great. I also got the opportunity to go to Hallman Elementary, where me and Christy here were reading, what was the name of the book?
Rosie and Michael.
Rosie and Michael. Yeah, it was fantastic. So we really nailed down that experience. So if you guys ever want to see it, yeah, moving on. I got to go to Sumter Elementary as well, where I got the chance to speak with a lot of teachers. We spoke about special education. We spoke about math. We spoke about ed excellence. We spoke about data teams. We spoke about all sorts of things. And so I was able to spend probably about half a day there, and it was excellent, just because every minute that we spend in a classroom can change, or it really gives perspective to things that we do here in the boardroom and shows how they matter on throughout the scale. And so I thought that was really cool. And I also really liked talking to the kids, and I got to wear a mask with the suit. It was fantastic. I'm basically Batman now.
Did you take a picture?
Yeah, there's a picture. Don't worry, I'll be posting it. And also, I had the honor to hand out diplomas at Roberts High School's graduation. And I want to give a quick shout out to them. If you're talking about a group of kids who have overcome the odds, it's fantastic. Some of their stories, the speeches that they gave, and afterwards, being able to walk around and shake their hands and talk to them. What's really cool is you could see it in their eyes. There was a win, right? And if we can get our kids to get that win, I feel like that's what's going to help them get to the next level. That's what's going to help them overcome the chains of poverty that our community has had. And so it was very inspiring, and I thought that was great. So I wanted to give them a shout out as well, and also thank them and thank Mike for being there with me as well, because it was a great experience.
Okay, Marty?
Yeah, I have just 3. I was able to go to Raise the Roof, where people raised $70,000 in 2 hours for C-Tech construction. I was able to attend with Director Lee and Superintendent Perry, and it was really great to see how quickly we can raise money in this community. We have a lot of generous people. Also, I attended Early College High School. My son went there, so it's my school forever. They'll never keep me out of there. And it's always nice to see those kids cross the stage. And then, of course, McKay, where I guess there were 550 graduates. I shook 497 hands and hugged one because he's a family friend. And I did start to have a hard time saying congratulations after a point, but I got through it. Anyway, it was really great to see so many kids moving on to the next step of their life.
Chuck and Kathy?
Go ahead, Kathy.
So especially after the testimony and discussion tonight on special ed, I was able to give special education students graduation certificates. They were graduating out of the program, out of high school, and it was the most heartwarming thing I've watched in the district since I've been here. So many of those children have never had the opportunity to be honored by a great number of people that were sitting there waiting, and it was absolutely spectacular. You wouldn't have seen a group of kids more excited in your entire life. It was very, very special. And we have lots to do in that arena, but this made it all worthwhile, and I really appreciate that. And then I went on to West Salem High School and was able to give their diplomas out and thoroughly enjoyed it. It took 3 of us to get things straight and get the diplomas going, get the kids going, get everything happening, but it was a good experience. So you have a good school district trying hard to help, and it really showed in the graduation and the numbers that went and the things that we did. I was happy with it.
You know, as a board member, I remember when we as a board made the decision to approve the MOU, the first MOU, and move forward with CTEC. And I've continued to be just amazed as a board member, the attention that CTEC is getting, and we have visitors from school districts throughout the state on a very consistent basis. And last week, we had the new superintendent of the Portland Public Schools, 3 board members. I complimented them on not having a quorum, but they had 3 board members and then some cabinet people out to look at CTEC to see about the potential for replicating that in their district. So I think as a board, we should be proud of the MOU you passed tonight, but also the courage it took to take that big step. For the 11th year in a row, I was able to pass out the diplomas at McNary High School, and it's always a lot of fun and a great experience. And this year they moved graduation to 2 o'clock on a Friday afternoon instead of 6 or 7 o'clock, which really made it a lot easier, because usually we'd have the 5 or 6 o'clock McNary graduation, and then McKay would be coming into the parking lot of the building as McNary was leaving. So I think that was a good move. And then finally, you know, with all the issues on water, I just want to remind all of you, my colleagues who live in Salem and represent different parts of Salem, if you would like to come out to my house and bring your containers, I'll be glad to give you some good old-fashioned Kaiser water.
What's your address?
I'll tell you after the meeting.
There we go. Okay. Rob, you wanna follow up?
It was an honor, you know, being a first-time board member to hand out diplomas I don't know that I've ever seen such joy and nervousness of kids coming up on the stage. They were so excited. And yes, it was last Friday in pouring down rain, and they were absolute troopers. I had a tent, but they did not, and I just felt really good. But it was such an incredible honor, and to get to see the sheer excitement and talk to the kids and their families about next steps, where they're headed, was such an honor. So thank you for that honor.
Anyone else follow up? Superintendent Perry?
All right, just a couple comments. The only thing I'll say about graduation is I've officially made it through all of them. So, 4 years in, takes you 4 years. Comment, though, about our scholarships. We're over $23 million in scholarships for our students. That's a big deal. At North Salem High School, unrelated to graduation, we're engaging our architects from Brick around the North Salem High School renovation, and they have had a place in there for students to give voice to that process. So they've been at the table, they've done some listening sessions with kids, and I think that's really a nice feature of what we can showcase for kids with the bond. So this is about student learning as well as building additional facilities. And then our African American community resource specialist, Darnell, has gone on to Houck Middle School to be a teacher. So he has transitioned into a licensed position, and we would like to welcome Dwight Roberson to that position, who comes to us as I think he was an instructional assistant at McKay. And so he is the new Darnell in that position at some point. I hope you can meet him. As far as the water, special thanks to our facilities department, especially David Hughes, who's had to coordinate the procurement. We have enough water for all summer, for all our summer schools. At some points in the summer, we'll have as many as 10,000 students in summer programs across the district, so we are prepared with water. We're prepared for the current water advisory. We're prepared if the water advisory gets more inclusive of more people. And all of our summer lunch programs will be cooked without tap water, so we'll be using bottled water. So because we know at our lunch programs we have many young children, because we feed any child in the community at those. So we're well prepared for the summer, and we'll keep close monitoring with the city on this. Also special thanks to Lillian and her team, who helped be the communicators with the city as we had to pull together emergency operations between multiple jurisdictions over that. And then finally, I just wanted to take a minute to congratulate Lisa Harlan on her new position. And this is her last board meeting with us, so I wanted to say thank you for your service. You've made a huge difference across our elementary schools. We're very proud of you and your promotion as an assistant superintendent for Greater Albany Public Schools. So if we don't see you again from the board, we wish you well, and your legacy will be felt in the work you did in our elementary schools, so thank you. And that's it for me.
Okay, then this meeting is adjourned, and I will see you all on June 26th.